Hey guys, Jynx-Vison here, and this is unusual. This is actually take two of trying to record this video. The problem is this is a Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and the plot is absolutely a mess. It's all over the place. There's so many characters I can't keep track of who's who, what's going on, who's backstabbing who, what the MacGuffin is, and the general story of the movie. Even the basic premise of the movie. So this is a hard one to do, a hard one to talk about. There's gonna be some spoilers, but I don't really remember much of the movie, to be honest. Even though I only saw it like, a couple hours ago. Because I tried to record this earlier, just like a minute ago. Excuse me. But the video was not coming out because I couldn't remember what the heck happened in this movie, to be honest. Who these characters were and what they were doing. So this is going to be a different sort of Jynx-Vision. I'm not going to remember the plot in detail like the Alien Covenant video or the Power Rangers video. This one, it's because of the subject matter of a Pirates of the Caribbean movie. It's so... Let me just run down the list of way too many characters, way too many subplots, way too many backstabbings and treachery, way too long, the MacGuffin that I guess doesn't make any sense, and what was the big one? Way too convoluted story. That's like these big problems with the movie where it's impossible to follow. Even the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, which is by far the best, had these problems with it where honestly the plot was all over the map. It made no sense. I mean, you had the Aztec gold, which was cursed, and you had the pirates who turned into skeletons by moonlight, which was pretty cool, but the Pirates 2 and 3 were just just awful with the story. It made absolutely no sense, especially Pirates 3, where it's 3 hours long and everybody's backstabbing and double-crossing each other every 5 minutes, and it's impossible to keep track of. Pirates 4, the story was so convoluted, and like you had to get a mermaid's tear, and there are these two silver chalices on top of this this ship on top of a mountain, and you had to, it was like kind of like which, you had to drink from the right cup, otherwise it would, kill you, kind of like the Holy Grail in Last Crusade. And this movie, again, it's a Pirates of the Caribbean movie. I don't know what Disney's problem is with making this so convoluted and complex and complicated where you can't tell what the heck's going on. Like I said, I tried to record this video before, but it went nowhere because I couldn't remember what the heck happened in the movie. But anyway, you have Henry Turner, the son of Will Turner, or Orlando Bloom from the first 3 movies. Long story short, he got turned into... He died at the end of Pirates 3, but he took over the Flying Dutchman, and he took over from Davy Jones's position from movies 2 and 3. And this takes place several years later. His son, Henry Turner, is now an adult. He's about 20 years old or so. You have Javier Bardem, the bad guy from Skyfall, one of the best James Bond villains ever. He's in the movie as kind of the captain of the Ghost Pirates, Salazar, but he really doesn't bring much to the table. I mean, he kind of looks like he's made of cracked porcelain. He's got like these cracks on him, and like part of his head is missing, and it's like, even when he's standing still, it's like his hair is always floating around, and like his coat, like he's always in the water, even though he's not. It's kind of a neat looking effect, but it pales in comparison to, Davy Jones from the second and third movies with the tentacle beard, and he looked like Cthulhu, and he had the lobster claw and everything. So it's a step down from that visually, but they're like early in the movie, Javier Bardem, Salazar, he's talking and he's slurring. I can hardly tell what he's saying, and it's like there's like blood or mud or something coming out of his mouth, and it's like, "Tell Jack Sparrow, death is coming for him, and I'm coming for him," and it's like blood's coming out of his mouth, and it's like, well, that's icky. But other times he's talking, there's no blood or bile or whatever. Remember the end of Batman Returns when the Penguin is dying? It looks like that, just like bile and goop coming out of his mouth, and it's really unpleasant. I can't remember the story, like I said, so I'm just going to remember moments from the movie. There's this girl, I forget her name, there we go, I put the subtitle right here, whatever. I'm just going to call her the Witch, because that's what everybody calls her throughout the movie. She's an astronomer, she's a woman of science in the 1600s, 1700s, whatever, but because she looks through a telescope and reads Galileo, everyone thinks she's a witch. Ah, a woman of science. What is this? Anyway, the witch, the astronomer lady, she has this notebook which says, follow the stars to a map that no man can read, and you'll find this treasure, which is it eventually turns out to be Poseidon's trident, which doesn't look like it did in The Little Mermaid. It looks like looks kind of like what Loki's staff in the Avengers looked like. It was kind of weird shaped. It's not like a trident. It's just kind of a weird shape, but it looks like it's made of kryptonite or something. I don't know. Like I said, I can't remember what the heck happened to this movie, even though I only saw it a short while ago. I can't remember who the characters were, what their motivations were, but I do remember there are a lot of fun moments in this movie. Like there's a scene where Jack Sparrow, there's the opening of a bank, and it's like inside is this impregnable bank vault, which is the greatest safe in the world. Nobody can possibly damage it or steal from this bank. They open it up, and Jack Sparrow is inside the vault, and he's like, what's going on? Oh, who are you people? What's going on? And he's doing his Jack Sparrow, I'm Captain Jack Sparrow thing, where he's like, I think in this movie he's wasted the entire time, like more so than in the previous movies where he was just kind of sly and whatnot. Here he's like completely hammered the entire movie basically, and it's really, really funny to watch, as Johnny Depp is basically, oh, we should swing over there and do that thing, and where's the rum at? He's just completely wasted this entire movie. Wasted as in drunk, I should say. Because Johnny Depp is, of course, the highlight of the movie. He always is as Jack Sparrow. He's the character that you root for and want to see the most on screen. And when he's off screen, it's like you're checking your watch, and it's like, when's Jack going to come back? I want to see him do something funny. There's a scene early in the movie where basically they rob a bank and end up pulling the entire bank. Like, with a team of horses, they steal the vault, the safe, and the entire bank with it. And it's like, it's really ridiculous and kind of fun, but, silly at the same time. It's like, yeah, you need a lot more than just one team of horses to haul an entire bank around. And they're dragging it through the streets, and it's crashing into things, and it was silly, but kind of fun, but ridiculous. There's a scene later where Captain Jack and Henry Turner and the girl, the astronomer lady, they're basically led into a public square, and they're going to be executed. Jack is hooked up to a guillotine, and the girl's going to be hanged, and the girl's trying to do her last words, and it's like, you people are a bunch of ignorant idiots, and I despise you. But Jack, he's like interrupting her, and it's like, and she's yelling at him, and the crowd's looking back and forth. Who are we supposed to look at? Because these people are arguing with each other. So that was kind of a funny scene. Then, of course, the pirates come and they save Jack and they save the girl. And actually, now that I think about it, there's a lot of witty banter in this movie, like a lot of innuendo and, sexual references that are actually pretty funny, Like the lady says like, I'm a horologist, which is the study of time and whatnot. And the guy's like, whoa, she said she's a whore. And she's like, I'm not a whore, I'm an astronomer. And the guy's like, that means you breed donkeys? And it's just a lot of funny innuendo and wordplay in this movie. So that worked. Javier Bardem, he was great in Skyfall as the villain, but here he's kind of wasted because he doesn't really do a whole lot in this movie. He has a couple of sword fights with people, and he sometimes he talks and there's bile coming out of his mouth, other times he's not, and it's like, there's a scene where he has a sword, he's kind of tapping on the deck, and it's like, every time I tap my sword, one of your crew members is going to die. He's like, tap, tap, tap. And he's like, tap, 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 tap. It basically kills everybody except, Captain Barbossa. And, yeah, this is the, here's where these spoilers come in. What I can remember from the movie is Hector Barbossa, the girl from earlier, the astronomer witch lady? That's his daughter. And this is like the only sort of big spoiler I can remember from this convoluted mess of a plot, is that she's, he gave her up for adoption, and basically the journal, it's like his link to her, because you see at the end of the movie, just before Barbossa sacrificed himself, that he has these tattoos, like the star of Orion and whatnot, on his arm. And, you know, it's like, wow. And it just kind of comes out of, it just seems like it comes out of nowhere. And Captain Barbossa, you know, he has a heroic sacrifice to defeat Javier Bardem. Anyway, they get to the island, which is like, you know, uncharted, and there's like a ship-to-ship fight during the middle of the night, and the island is basically looks like a star map. Like, you look up in the sky at the galaxy, and it's like a star map, because with all these gems and crystals. So that was pretty cool looking. They find the magic crystal, which shoots out a laser beam, kind of like Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it shows the location to the Poseidon's trident. Anyway, the waters part, so kind of like the Red Sea, and they're walking on the bottom of the ocean, and there's all this coral around. It looks pretty cool. I don't know, something about you break the trident, and that breaks the curses of the sea, and Javier Bardem becomes like a real boy again. And that's when Hector Barbossa, Jeffrey Rush from Mystery Men, he sacrifices himself to defeat him. And oh wow, this review is kind of crappy because the story was kind of crappy. You know what I mean? It's like I honestly can't tell you what happened halfway through the movie versus the early part of the movie versus the late part of the movie. Wow. There's a scene with zombie sharks, which are kind of cool. I mean, it's like a Sci-Fi Channel original movie, you know, zombie sharks. The girl, the astronomer, she's like, I'm a woman of science. I don't believe in ghosts. Then later she sees like an army of guys running on the water towards her, and she's like, ah, ghosts! And she runs off. That's kind of funny. There's something about Jack. You remember the magic compass from the other movies where it points to what your heart desires? Anyway, he sells that. He trades that for a bottle of rum, basically. And it's like somehow that kicks off the story where Javier Bardem and his crew are able to get out of the Devil's Triangle because Jack gave away his magic compass for a bottle of rum. It makes no sense. I don't know. You have the zombie sharks. You have the scene where Jack is going to be executed by guillotine. You have the bank robbery at the beginning. You have a battle, like a ship-to-ship battle with the... another thing I remember. Javier Bardem's ship, it's basically like a skeleton ship, and it like reaches up and kind of goes rah, and it eats other ships, kind of like the oil tanker in The Spy Who Loved Me, where it like devours other ships. I don't know why I'm making that comparison, because that's all I have to go on here, trying to think of what movie does this movie compare to, and it's a ship that eats other ships. Like there's a scene where it basically rears up and like devours another ship. Jeffrey Rush as Barbossa, he's pretty good in the movie, you know, because he's like trying to save his own skin by hunting down Jack, because Javier Bardem and the Ghost Pirates are like, we're gonna kill you unless you lead us to Jack, and he's like, okay. So that, like I said, this is the problem with the Pirates movies, especially number 3, where every 5 minutes somebody's getting backstabbed or double-crossed or there's treachery, and you can't tell who to root for because they're all evil, basically. You know, they're all backstabbing each other, and there's no, why should I root for this character because they just sold this other guy down the river? And it's just a problem. And I think that's going to be it for the story. It's just a problem. Like, just go see the movie, go to Wikipedia, read the synopsis. It's a mess. It's all over the place. I can't figure out what the heck happened in the movie. Some of the characters were pretty good. Others are kind of forgettable. Javier Bardem is basically wasted in this movie, whereas Johnny Depp is wasted. Oh, I'm Johnny Depp. You know, he's doing that thing, which is great. That's kind of the highlight of the movie. So I think, gosh, I don't know how to rate this one. It's the best Pirates since number 1, I think, but here's Pirates 1. Here's, you know, 4, 2, and 3. This one's about here, just above Pirates 2. It's better than those ones, but not nearly as good as Pirates 1. Like, Pirates 1, Pirates 5, kind of down here. Then, like, Pirates 3 is all the way down on the floor. Yeah, gosh, I really don't know how to talk about this movie because I'm stymied. It's like I feel like I went on a drug trip and I don't remember what happened in my crazy acid dream, because that's basically what the plot is. You know, you got scenes that are kind of cool. The public execution, the zombie sharks. There's a ship battle where the figurehead comes to life and it tries to kill Jack with a big spear. That's kind of neat. We have a scene with a flashback with Captain Salazar, where he encounters a young Jack Sparrow before, years before Pirates 1. And that was kind of neat that we saw a young version of Johnny Depp. Henry Turner, he's trying to save his dad, Orlando Bloom, from the third movie, because he became the captain of the Flying Dutchman. And Orlando Bloom is in the first and last minute of the movie, basically, and that's it. He's never really referred to throughout the rest of it. It's just the first minute and the last minute. And Keira Knightley, she shows up at the very last minute, and like she hugs Will as the two of them embrace after, years apart. And it's like, oh, a happy ending, but it's like, then of course the mid-credit sequence, which I remember. Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley, they're sleeping in bed together. The door opens during a storm and the shadow of Davy Jones creeps towards them. And Orlando Bloom wakes up. It was just a dream. He falls back to sleep. But the camera pans down to the floor, and we see there's barnacles down there. So I guess Davy Jones is alive. But wouldn't the curse of the sea have been removed when they broke the trident thingy? I'm scratching my head here, because this movie makes no gosh darn sense. It really doesn't. Like, it was fun to watch. I will give it that. But it had some cool visuals and some cool action sequences and sequences. That's it. I can say it had good sequences, but the story sucked. But that's par for the course with the Pirates films. It's not nearly as convoluted as number 3. It's not as dark as number 2. It's not as needlessly complex with the mermaid tears as number 4. But it's nowhere near as good as number 1. Actually, this movie is the shortest Pirates movie at just about 2 hours, 10 minutes. So it's like 10 minutes shorter than the first movie, and almost 50 minutes shorter than number 3. So there you go. I guess I can close by saying this. If they're going to continue the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, they need to simplify things. Here's Jack Sparrow. Here's a map to treasure. Here's like a ghost pirate or, voodoo zombies or whatever. And that's it. You don't need 2 silver chalices and you drink one, you gain somebody's life. You drink the other one, you die, like in Last Crusade. You don't need the mermaid's tear. You don't need the magic compass. You don't need Davy Jones's heart in a box. You don't need all this pointless crap, is the thing. It should just be, here's Captain Jack Sparrow, here's a pirate quest, and here's a supernatural threat. That's it. So, I don't really know how to rate this one, like I said. It was fun, but I don't know if it's going to hold up on future viewings. Like I said, I rated this kind of low, especially compared to the first movie, but, wow. I'm flustered here. I really don't know what I'll talk about. Because, what the heck, man. So, since I can't think of what else to say, I'm going to end it here. It was fun in the theater watching it, but the story made no sense, and I kind of like some of the humor and the back and forth and the innuendo, and a couple of the characters were alright. But, I don't know. I think just stick to Pirates number 1, and that's it. Don't even acknowledge that Pirates 2 and 3 and 4 exist. Because this one acknowledges the previous Pirates movies, especially, number 3 and whatnot. But there's really no point, because the story, that's the problem, is the story. Alright, I'm rambling. It was kind of fun, but just, what a mess. I don't know what to say. See you next time, I guess. Whatever.